My name is Colt Cabana. I'm a professional wrestler, and I live right here in Chicago, Illinois, where we are at the Consequences of Sound studio. And I am joined on, not my couch, a couch by John Darnielle, who is the lead man of the Mountain Goats. What do I talk on my show that I don't know anything about?
Wrestling?
Yeah, we have a joined love of wrestling.
Yeah, way back. Who was the first match you saw?
It was 83, 84. I'm 35 now.
Right.
And I remember Andre the Giant getting his hair cut.
Oh, wow.
Looking back on it now, it was Ken Patera and
Ken Patera.
I think Big John Studd and Bobby Heenan were cutting his hair.
That was right when I was about 14 years old.
You're like, it's so...
I was already too cool
Yeah.
for wrestling. Even though, like, the thing is, like, I secretly was still watching... I grew up in Southern California, right? So in Southern California, there were two streams. There was Channel 56, which was the English language broadcast. And that was only half an hour, sometimes, or an hour. You could totally feel that, like, that the NWA, the locals, were, like, having to fight for their time or maybe scramble to pay for it. But on Channel 34... which is KMEX, the Spanish language. Mm-hmm. It was 90 minutes, and it was a full broadcast, and it was a big deal. And
how good was your Spanish?
It was pretty good. I mean, it's like
Que bien tu es español.
Bien amigos, aquí estamos en el Auditorio Olímpico, y aquí está Chavo Guerrero, el campeón de todo el mundo. Right? It was like
That's just you memorizing what they were saying.
No, it's like it was then, but it's like, but I was totally like the announcer from Southern California was like a legendary guy because he would break into English when things would get too ugly, right? And it was so, because like in those days, I don't think they do this quite as much. I mean, they do extreme things like falling from the cage and everything. So now I think they save the big drops for a big moment. And they have like 9 cameras ready to capture mankind falling from the top of the cage. But back then you have like 20 minutes of one guy just stomping on another guy's head, right? So everybody in the building could see like this guy is prone, he's not moving, and just kick the same corpse for 20 minutes. And the Spanish language announcer would be speaking Spanish, would be trying to figure out what he's saying, you know. And it's like 12:30 on a Saturday, and he would go, "Someone should stop him!" Right? It was like so passionate and great. The Spanish language broadcast in Southern California was legendary stuff. Like lots of people watched it. Lots of wrestling fans who were kids like me were picking up Spanish by watching this.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
and especially, I was at your show on Monday,
right.
And you say wrestling, and I look around and I see so many people that wouldn't be at my shows. Being like, yeah.
But you know what? I was nervous because I start writing the songs. I just follow my ideas where they go. And once I get about 3, it's like, how am I going to tell the guys in my band, none of whom have any connection to wrestling? Like, well, our next album's going to be about wrestling, guys. But I was surprised. There's a lot of people who are they're not secret wrestling fans, but they're sort of playing it low, who already were in our fan base, who already loved wrestling, and now they just wear their gear to the show. Now they're more open about it.
Well, tell me about the Mountain Goats. None of them, do they even like wrestling?
I mean, there was never into it all. Peter's a football guy. John doesn't really follow sports. But they're music people, which means they're into stories. I mean, wrestling is about storylines and character. So it's like books, or movies. It's just a living, and theater, it's just an art like any other narrative art. It tells stories, but it also does it in a way where, nobody on screen on a movie is actually getting shot, but you watch wrestlers fall from someplace. That's actually impacting your body. It's between boxing and movies.
But when you sing the song, you finish the song about blading or about Bruiser Brody.
Yeah.
I'm more interested. Do the other guys? Are they then like, I'm kind of interested. Do they go back and like research?
Peter got pretty interested in, especially in
Is there anything about a great story you want to look it up a little?
Well, especially like the Bruiser Brody story. I mean, this is like this intrigue and murder, and like the fact that that everybody knows who did it, but he never got it's like never got never got tried or arrested for it. It's interesting. It's a lot like old stories of boxing. Boxing in the 30s and 40s was this very underworld phenomenon. So they're interested. I don't know if they follow, but Peter's got a daughter, and I'll bet you anything she gets into wrestling. So.
I bet you anything she's a huge Bruiser Brody
fan.
A fan of mine sent me, and obviously a fan of yours, sent me a YouTube clip of you singing about Greg the Hammer Valentine.
Oh, yes. That song was being ad-libbed. Like, I had the lyrics, and I went up in front of the crowd, and I made up the music as I went along, right? So it wasn't even a real, it was just a once-only performance. So it was kind of cool that could reach somebody that was that spontaneous and ethereal,
Is that a song now?
No, because it was the only time it was ever played. It was just a lyric in a notebook, and San Francisco is a super special town for us. People have treated us so well there that I wanted to do something special. And I thought, well, the way I write songs, I have a lyric and I make up music as I go along. Then you do it again and again, and it gets more and more settled. But the first performance often has something special in it, that because you don't know where it's going. So I had the lyric, and I thought, I'll just do this in front of the audience. Worst thing that happens is like 3 minutes don't go well, you know,
Right.
and then I'll just double down on the next one, you know. But it went nicely. It was fun, and you play. I would never have heard it if you hadn't played it. Like that was.
You would have never have heard.
No, I would never. I heard it on your podcast.
Oh.
I didn't record it.
But you didn't even know it was on YouTube or anything.
Nah, I didn't. No,
You're not. Come on. You're searching yourself on YouTube a little bit.
I've been doing this for 20 years.
So have I.
well,
Every day I'm on YouTube looking at myself.
I self Googled a lot in the late 90s, right?
Yeah.
But I also
That was you were Ask Jeevan yourself a lot. In the late
No,
90s.
ask Steven and Alta Vista.
Yeah.
No, actually, I used to do that. I was like, which search agency give me the best results about myself? Because I'm an artist, I'm a narcissist, you know. But then you do that enough times, you hear enough people say, like, this guy sucks, and you go, this is not good for me to be really engaging with all these people who hate me as much. So
No, it's like, oh man, do I suck? I gotta get better.
and it's like I tapped out. But you know, in the mid to late 90s when I was first coming up, I was relentless. I got to read my own press. Then I went, you know what? There's a lot of people who like what I do. I do not need to read my own press. I just need to focus on what I do.
How important is this the album?
This is for me. It's a very personal album because it's sort of interesting how you. It's like braiding something. You have your own life and the stuff that you're into. It's a braid of a lot of strands, and the stuff you were into when you're younger, and what role that plays in your life as you age, and how that works in with your work. Which, if you work in a creative field, you know you're going to be folding all your young obsessions into what you do, and you know the stuff that was for many people the stuff they were into when they were younger. They sort of have to put it in a drawer and deal with the rest of their lives. But if your work involves creative self-expression, then you sort of get to keep living those passions in some way, and realizing what they actually meant to you.
Did you get giddy when you met Chavo and you did that video?
You have no. But I mean, seriously, like what happened was this: is like the song came out, and about 2 days later, he noticed like people started @signing him on Twitter.
Well, then where's my money?
No,
where's my
he
money?
was just
That's how the
stoked.
wrestlers think.
No,
I know.
But he was just totally. He was like, check out this song. I was like, oh my god.
So you wrote it in? Well, I guess you wouldn't tell him that you're writing it.
No, I wanted to wait until it came out.
Did that cross your mind?
No.
Especially it's the whole album.
It's the whole album, and I didn't want to. You know, it's like I knew the album was going to be good. Out of its context, it would have been just some guy going, here, listen to my song. It's like, but I knew when the album came out, it'd probably be big, you know, enough to go, look, I made a thing, and it's kind of cool, and you'll recognize a lot of the names on it. Half of me wanted to seek a blessing, and half of me was like, look, I got to tell this story no matter what, so I'm going to do it.
But that's also a weird, like, going through your head, I'd imagine it's like what your scenario is like, okay,
What if he
do I
hates it?
slip it to him? I was thinking more of like, how do I wait till he listens to it? I don't think he'd hate it.
I assumed it would that it would get to him somehow or another. I was going to mail him a copy.
Okay.
If it didn't. But instead, he noticed on Twitter, and he started retweeting all this stuff, and then he had a very funny. It's like, every time the phone rings, have you heard the legend of Chavo Guerrero? It's like super hip, you know. And then we flew out there to LA to shoot the video, and flew him in from Arizona where he lives. And this was literally my hero. Like, this was the guy. It was a force of good for me. But he was one of those. I mean, I guess all real faces are like this. But he was one of those good guys who, when he had enough, dropped the rule book and just stomp on somebody, you know. And it was like, and he was just, and he had an awesome family, you know. I couldn't believe it. I mean, when we got in the ring, he started showing me work stuff. I've never done that, you know, ever. And he just immediately put his hands on my shoulders, and I tightened up. He goes, "Relax, it's a work." And I was like, "Relax, you guys look pretty tense." No, you just raise your shoulder. So
it's easy. You're just
I was just so. No, I was completely blown away. It was amazing.
John Darnielle of the Mountain Goats.
Colt Cabana.
Yes, of life, of pro wrestling.
Of the squared circle.
Yeah. How much fun. This was a blast.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
A real pleasure to meet you. You ever need anything in North Carolina, you look me up.
I'll take you up on that.